Hello ladies, gentlemen, boys, girls, innies, outies and in betweeners. My name's Dan. Welcome back to another PAP Reports. Today is Wednesday, April the 22nd, 2020. Today we're starting with two stories, connected but different. First is of an incident that Northumbria Police were called to on April the 8th after reports of a woman causing a disturbance. When police arrived, they found a woman, Charlene Merrifield, with a brick in each hand and damage to a nearby Ford Focus. 39-year-old Merrifield admitted assault of an emergency worker after coughing on the arresting constable. Criminal damage and public order offences when appearing before magistrates in South Tyneside on Wednesday, the April the 15th, along with a breach of a suspended sentence. Now, she was jailed for 21 weeks and police have released footage of the incident, stating that such behaviour will be treated seriously amid the ongoing COVID-19 pandemic.
In the meantime,
We had!
yeah, sit yourself down. What I'll say to you is, right, you're going like that, and I swear to God you're going to jail, right? I'm not joking.
Chief Inspector Nicola Waring of Northumbria Police said, Charlene Merrifield knew exactly what she was doing and she decided to intentionally cough at one of our officers, which is absolutely appalling. I hope this case highlights how seriously offences of this nature are being taken in light of the current pandemic. Now, I've said before, and I'll say it again, although I know some of you will disagree with me, and of course that is entirely your right. But for me, if there is even a tiny percent that there is a virus as bad as what's being portrayed, then we should be looking out for one another and actually doing something that is said to be proven transference methods for the virus is wrong. And so spitting and coughing at anyone is bang out of order, and I can see why those are being classed as assault. But the next story continues to perplex me. 48-year-old Jason Baker from Kidderminster has been charged with assault on emergency workers after he is said to have purposely and forcibly breathed at two police constables. Barker appeared at Kidderminster Magistrates Court on Tuesday morning, where they've remanded him in custody until April 28th, where he will appear at Kidderminster Magistrates again, ahead of appearing at Worcester Crown Court on May the 18th. Now, I said in a previous video, where I contacted the NHS and Public Health England regarding breathing and the transference of this virus. And I was told in an official email from Public Health England that there is no conclusive evidence as far as they're concerned that the virus can be spread on the breath. As far as I know, although some American media outlets have claimed that it can, I have found that many of those claims are actually unfounded and are being used as clickbait. My point is, how can you convict somebody of an offence when there is no conclusive evidence the offence has actually taken place? Yeah, okay, he may have breathed at them, or even on them, but breathing is not assault. If anything, it should be under a public order offence, probably Section 4A of the Public Order Act 1986, which is also known as intentional harassment, alarm or distress. It's one of the most common occurrences in criminal courts. If you're accused of an offence under Section 4A, the prosecution must prove that you've intended to cause another person harassment, alarm or distress. That's clear when you're breathing at somebody saying you've got COVID. Or you have to use threatening, abusive or insulting words or behaviour, and your actions have caused another person to feel harassed, alarmed or distressed. But this certainly isn't assault, and how it can be classed as assault is beyond me. Now, I've sent an email to Kirsty Brimlow QC, the woman who called out the police and courts on the Marie Dinu case where she was wrongly arrested and charged by British Transport Police for contravening coronavirus legislation. I don't know if she will respond, but I hope she does, as it would be nice to get proper clarification on this in case the police are wrongly charging people and the courts are wrongly convicting them of the wrong offence. The son of 70-year-old Mary Bland from Sunderland has lashed out at Northumbria Police after police failed to attend his mother home even a week after a rock was thrown through her window in the early hours of April the 15th. Mary's son, Eddie, said, "They rang my mum the day after it happened and said they couldn't really do anything because no one had seen them. She was told to see if any of the neighbours had CCTV. So they basically asked a 70-year-old woman to do their job." Hardly surprising. Eddie then issued an appeal for information and tracked down CCTV footage from a neighbour. And that CCTV footage showed three people on a moped in the area around the time of the incident, with the alleged suspect now due to be interviewed by police. Eddie said, I rang them back and told them we had the CCTV footage and were 99% positive we had the name of the person. We got a call from a PC saying somebody would be round to talk to us, but there is still nothing. He added, I am shocked that they are just not taking this seriously and don't care. It's a 70-year-old woman who is terrified to be in her house after a brick was smashed through her window. You would think they'd send somebody out to reassure her. Eddie said he had done the police's work for them after getting the CCTV footage and the name of the potential suspect. He added, I have no confidence in them. A brick has been thrown through a pensioner's window. I just don't understand. They wanted more information and I found it for them. A spokeswoman for Northumbria Police said when the incident was first reported last week, there were no immediate lines of inquiry. Additional information has now been provided and our officers have been in touch with the family again on Tuesday. Because it's been brought up by the media, no doubt, otherwise they'd probably still have left it. In PAP Reports on the 30th of January, I spoke about Mark Cole, who died after being tasered by police 3 times for a total of 43 seconds. Mark died on the streets in Falmouth in May 2017 after taking large amounts of cocaine in a bid to help deal with the loss of his father. Now, Mark was pacing the street with a knife in his hand, and so police obviously needed to do something to disarm him, but the coroner investigating the death, who at the time said that the use of the taser had more than a trivial impact on the father of 2's subsequent cardiac arrest, has now called for a review of the repeated use of tasers. Coroner Geraint Williams, who presided over the inquest, has written a Preventing Future Deaths report to the Home Secretary and the College of Policing, expressing his concerns about the use of tasers. He said there is limited data as to the effects of taser upon individuals, particularly on those classed as vulnerable. In evidence, it was clear that there is no understanding about the potential for incremental risk with multiple taser activations, and no training provided as to a maximum number of activations, nor of the duration which is appropriate or safe, he said. The evidence was that the training given to police officers in this aspect is as set down by the College of Policing, and that it is silent as to the potential incremental risk of multiple and or sustained activations, the so-called detention underpower. It was clear from the evidence of an intensivist consultant that a taser does carry a risk, he said, despite the claims of the manufacturers, but the extent of that risk is far from clear. I'm concerned, based upon the evidence that was led before the jury, that there is insufficient independent data as to the lethality of taser use, and that, therefore, the advice and training provided to police officers may be deficient or incomplete. Mr. Williams added, perhaps by a wholesale review of the effects of multiple taser activations and the effects of sustained activations, whether in isolation or in combination, so that fuller and more comprehensive advice, guidance and training can be given to those officers who are authorised to carry tasers. Now, an interesting story now was Merseyside Police detectives are appealing for help. Police received reports of a male acting suspiciously close to children around Burrows Lane just outside Prescott, close to Knowsley Safari Park over the weekend from 24th to 26th of January. Police have launched an appeal into trying to track the person down so they can speak to him, and have released an image in the hope that it will help with their inquiries. Are you ready for this? Detective Sergeant Leanne Toole said, "We understand this is very poor quality, but we are hoping that with the area and the circumstances, it may ring a bell with someone and they may have information as to who the man is and what he was doing in the area. It's not even clear if he is a man. Similarly, I would ask the man if he recognises himself to come forward and speak to us, as he may have information which could assist our investigation." Unbelievable. I know that they need to do what they can, but there's not even any features to identify. Has he got a fat nose, a double chin, blue, brown, green or grey eyes? Has he even got 2 ears? Well, I've seen grainy CCTV footage before, but this is simply incredible, and I'm surprised the police didn't simply keep that image to themselves and give it a written description, because that is laughable. That's almost like saying, man wanted for theft. The man is a man. If you have any information about the whereabouts of a man, please get in touch. Police in Australia are now able to not only access metadata from mobile phones, but also track bank card usage in order to check if people are breaching coronavirus lockdown rules. And it seems that the Australian Council for Civil Liberties is supporting the Trace Together app rollout. The Civil Liberties group advocating the rollout of deep reconnaissance. Nice. At the moment, rather than making it mandatory, Prime Minister Scott Morrison is urging Australians to sign up to the Trace Together app, a COVID-19 tracking program developed by the Singapore government. The app records who the user has been in close proximity to in recent weeks, so if the user tests positive for COVID-19, authorities can then track down those people and test them, and remove their kids, no doubt. The Australian Council for Civil Liberties is surprisingly to some backing the rollout of this app on the proviso only healthcare professionals and not police have access to the Bluetooth data. Its president, Terry O'Gorman, a criminal lawyer for 43 years, said the worst global healthcare crisis since 1920 justified the council's support for Trace Together, conditional on the Privacy Commissioner having oversight on it. We take the unusual position for a Civil Liberties Council because this is once in a 100-year pandemic. It does have the potential to aid significantly in controlling the pandemic. We support it, but only with significant privacy protections. The only way that people are going to be prepared to take up the app is if there is 100% legislated guarantee that no one other than health agencies for the purposes of tracing can get access to that material under any circumstances whatsoever. Even without the app, Mr. O'Gorman said state police already had the power to monitor the movements of ordinary people through the metadata on their mobile phones. To see where someone has been, senior police officer can obtain mobile phone tower data from a telecommunications provider without needing to get a warrant from a magistrate. Law enforcement agencies can also demand bank statements from financial institutions to see where and when people use their debit and credit cards, also without the need for a magistrate's warrant. Mr. O'Gorman said, "The concern I have is that inevitably police will be seeking access to this information because they're like kids in a lolly shop," he said. No shit. If there's something available, they want it. If police know data is there, based in history and more recent history, for a solid, credible assertion to be made that police will be seeking access to data. So if Australia has this tech and are using bank statements, etc. to track people, how long before that same infringement is rolled out here? It's another power the police would love to have access to, and although it's said the idea is good by civil liberties groups on the proviso police don't have access, what's stopping the health professionals passing that information on to them in order for them to enforce the restrictions? Detective Constable Richard Jeffcoat from Thames Valley Police is to face a misconduct hearing on April the 28th in private, after being accused of breaching the standards of professional behaviour expected of him. Detective Constable Jeffcoat allegedly chatted with the domestic abuse victim for 2 months last year and then gave an incomplete and inaccurate account of his relationship with them when asked by his supervisor. He is also said to have checked the Thames Valley Police database for personal reasons, allegations which are serious enough that, if proven, he could be fired for gross misconduct. However, Jeffcoat is still working for Thames Valley Police, but has been restricted in what he can do. Obviously, I'll follow this up when I have more information. Now, if the police have one of your devices following an arrest, you could be waiting over a year to get your property back, after a Freedom of Information request has revealed that a total of 12,122 devices, including computers, tablets and phones, were still awaiting examination across 32 police forces. Those that were able to provide a time estimate for how long it would take to clear the backlog ranged anywhere between 3 months to more than a year. Simon Kempton, the technology lead for the Police Federation of England and Wales, said investigators are overwhelmed by the amount of digital evidence they must deal with. The fact the number of digital devices waiting to be analysed has not budged from last year shows how overwhelmed investigators are with the sheer volume of digital evidence, he said. Forces are struggling to attract new detectives, which is resulting in mounting workloads. There is also a need for forces to investigate in technology, which can help speed up this process by extracting and sorting this data automatically. He said that the backlog can lead to problems with disclosure where key evidence is not passed to defence teams during criminal trials. In February, forensic science regulator Dr. Gillian Tully highlighted a national skill shortage in digital forensics and claims there was a woeful level of compliance. She found one instance where software used to analyse mobile phone data identified the wrong recipient of deleted messages. On April the 1st, a new forensics capability network was launched to create a more unified approach between police forces and boost standards in forensics. National Police Chief Counsel Lead for Digital Forensics, Deputy Chief Constable Nick Baker, said it would help reduce the size of the backlog. Now, the thing is, in my opinion, the police often take devices from people that they don't need to. Evidence that can be offered by a victim and recorded without the device ever being seized. Also, the police have a habit of seizing devices as a way to teach a suspect a lesson. And this arbitrary collection of so-called evidence adds to the backlog, as police need a reason to hold your device, and so by saying it needs examining forensically will be classed as a good reason and needs no second opinion as to whether seizing the device is necessary. For example, if a constable wants to seize a device and they take their request to a senior constable who isn't dealing directly with the suspect, then it could be that that senior constable can see that it's a malicious seizure and refuse to sign it off. This would help with the backlog somewhat, but ultimately, if you are waiting for a device to be examined, I suggest you simply go and buy yourself another one and forget about it for the interim, as it's unlikely you're going to be getting it back anytime soon. Big thank you to Patreon supporters Adi Audrey, Carl Chris, Copwatch UK, Daniel, Dave, Dean, Holly, Ian, J, Marty Lab, Mr. Mina, Peter, President Trump and Rich. You guys are amazing and your support is continuing to help me put out these daily videos. Anyway, that's all I have for you today. Please like, share, comment and subscribe. Let me know your thoughts, as I know many of you will. And until next time, stay safe, look after each other, film the police and other officials.
Good night, all.
Thank you for taking the time to watch this video. If you like the content and you'd like to help support the channel, you can do so. In the description of every video there are some links to ways that you're able to help support the channel so I can continue putting out content. If you're unable to help us in that way, hit that subscribe button up the top there. If you haven't already, become a subscriber. That is support enough. Share the videos, comment, like, it all helps. If you're looking for something else to watch, up top there is my latest video. Down the bottom there is a video that YouTube recommends for you.